Some grudges could be endured. Others had to be repaid with the destruction of worlds. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. This spell that fuses the origin soul with blood belongs to Old Yao's clan. It is a secret art that only the direct descendants may wield, and today one has fallen into my hands. The old man stroked his chin as his eyes lit up, sweeping slowly over the scattered drops of blood. He truly is worthy of being someone fated to cross paths with this old man, to devise such an unexpected method to confront a Nirvana cleanser cultivator. How could I simply stand aside and watch? I should lend him a hand. The old man licked his lips and extended his hand. The drops of blood offered no resistance at all as they were seized by his grasp. With a light pinch, all the scattered drops instantly fused together. The blood ancestor's origin soul merged and awakened at once. Many thanks, Senior. My Yao family will certainly remember this kindness. The blood ancestor's voice emerged from within the blood. There was neither joy nor anger within it. His tone was eerily calm. The old man fiddled absent-mindedly with the iron hoop around the thunderbeast's silver horn and snorted. Stop pretending. Your heart is clearly trembling with fear. You're worried that this old man harbors ill intentions, that I might refine you directly into a pill and even lure out the Yao family while I'm at it. Even if the Yao family's master, the blood god, were to appear here personally, do you think this old man would fear him? The blood ancestor remained silent for a moment before sending out a divine sense. No matter what, I must still thank Senior for your assistance. The old man waved a hand dismissively. This old man is a reasonable person. Look, I helped shorten the time required for your fusion. I didn't realize that your Yao clan's origin soul blood spell forbids the body from being forcibly fused back together. It seems that by forcing your body to reunite, your cultivation dropped several realms. You're now merely at the late stage of Nirvana Scrya. Since I was unaware of this beforehand, you can't blame me. The blood ancestor silently contemplated these words, forcefully suppressing the fury boiling within his origin soul. His divine sense transmitted a calm reply. No harm done. Since Senior did not know, then this must simply be my fate. If Senior has nothing further, please release your spell and allow me to depart. The old man chuckled. His eyes gleamed brightly. Little boy of the Yao family, you and I are fated. The thunder beast beneath him trembled slightly and glanced at the blood ancestor with a trace of sympathy. Yet beneath that sympathy lurked a quiet satisfaction. After all, someone else was now sharing in its suffering. The blood ancestor fell silent. Didn't you just say you wanted to repay me? Well then, you can repay me right now. The old man raised his right hand and abruptly pulled the blood ancestor's origin soul out from the pool of blood. With a ruthless motion, he tore away half of the origin soul. At the same time, he waved his hand and dragged half of the blood pool aside. Half an origin soul and half a blood body should be more than enough to repay this old man's grace. The old man smiled as he pushed the remaining half of the origin soul back into the remaining blood pool and blew a gentle breath upon it. The blood pool began to boil violently before collapsing into countless scattered droplets. The blood ancestor didn't even have the chance to send out another divine sense before he fell back into slumber. Although this old man's grand matter is destined to succeed, possessing half of this Yao clan member's origin soul and blood body will greatly increase my chances. And that is always a good thing, isn't it? A mischievous smile spread across the old man's face. Without sparing the blood droplets, another glance he rode the thunderbeast and disappeared into the distant void. Within the boundless void, Wang Lin's expression was dark as he pursued the red needle relentlessly. Suddenly the red needle flared with a brilliant crimson light, releasing a powerful aura that shattered Wang Lin's seal in an instant. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed sharply. Yet just as suddenly, the needle's glow dimmed again. It became even weaker than before and shot straight into the endless void ahead. Wang Lin frowned slightly. After a brief hesitation, he continued the chase. I must seize this chance to kill the blood ancestor. or endless trouble will follow. Grinding his teeth, Wang Lin sped after the crimson needle. Time drifted by slowly. Within the silent void, Wang Lin gradually lost all sense of the passage of time. The searing pain in his body had faded, no longer raging as fiercely as before. He forgot everything. Everything except the nearly collapsing red needle drifting ahead of him. The red needle began to accelerate faster and faster until Wang Lin was nearly unable to keep up. Then suddenly, Wang Lin stopped. A chill flashed through his eyes as he stared into the void ahead. There 10 spheres of blood floated close together, each varying in size as if they were about to merge into one. The red needle shot forward and plunged into one of the blood spheres. A dense blood aura instantly flooded the surrounding space. The sphere that the needle entered began to move greedily, devouring the others. Blood ancestor. Killing intent exploded within Wang Lin's eyes. Without hesitation, he summoned the mountain stone, extracted its soul, and slammed it down toward the blood spheres. The mountain soul surged forward, like a collapsing peak crashing toward the blood spheres with tremendous force. The spheres trembled violently, but the mountain soul lacked sufficient power, and the blood spheres quickly regrouped. After releasing the mountain soul, Wang Lin retreated a step. The celestial sword appeared in his grasp. With a swift motion, he slashed downward. The heavenly chop streaked forth like lightning, instantly separating 2 blood spheres that had been in the process of merging. But Wang Lin did not stop. The thunder within his origin soul erupted outward, forming countless violent thunderbolts that crashed toward the blood spheres. Under the relentless barrage, the spheres trembled violently. The blood ancestor's origin soul within them struggled to awaken. Wang Lin formed hand seals rapidly as thunder surged wildly from his origin soul. At this moment, he held nothing back. Every ounce of thunder within him was unleashed upon those blood spheres. At the same time, he raised the celestial sword once more and struck down again. Boom! One of the blood spheres exploded violently. A miserable groan echoed faintly through the void. The remaining spheres frantically rushed together, desperately attempting to merge. The blood ancestor's origin soul was about to awaken. Wang Lin's eyes turned bloodshot. He could feel it. If those spheres completed their fusion, he would never again have a chance to kill the blood ancestor. Raising his right hand, he pointed at the blood spheres and roared, "Stop!" The stop spell appeared instantly. Yet the blood ancestor's origin soul was far too powerful. Wang Lin's cultivation simply wasn't enough to restrain him. Celestial spiritual energy surged violently through Wang Lin's body, tearing through his meridians like raging blades. His already injured origin soul screamed under the strain. Blood burst from his mouth as he shouted again with ferocious determination, "Stop for me!" The merging spheres paused only for a single breath. At that precise instant, the Karma Whip appeared and lashed down mercilessly. At the same time, the final strand of Ling Tianhu's sword energy, hidden within Wang Lin's body, erupted forth and shot toward the blood spheres. The Karma Whip, Ling Tianhu's sword energy, and the countless thunderbolts erupting from Wang Lin's origin soul seemed to merge into a single devastating force. They slammed directly into the condensing blood spheres. Just before the blood ancestor's origin soul could awaken. Collapse. The spheres shattered violently into countless droplets of blood. An unwilling roar of fury echoed through the void. The blood split into 2 parts. One portion carried the blood ancestor's origin soul and fled into the distance. The other portion suddenly turned and rushed straight toward Wang Lin. The droplets instantly surrounded him and burrowed into his body through every pore. Agony exploded throughout Wang Lin's body. He coughed up a mouthful of blood as the terrifying impact hurled him deep into the void until his figure vanished completely. The celestial sword was under Xu Liguo's control. Grabbing the mountain soul, he immediately chased after Wang Lin. Though Xu Liguo had always been rebellious, at this moment, panic filled him. Instead of seizing the chance to flee to freedom, he followed Wang Lin straight into the void. Wang Lin had already fallen unconscious. The blood droplets that entered his body were filled with an incomparably dense origin energy, the blood ancestors. cultivation accumulated over countless years. It was unimaginably precious. Yet within Wang Lin's body, that power was like a blade of death. Still, fate often played strange games. When the old man had earlier demanded the Thunder Beast from Wang Lin, he had accidentally blown far too much energy into him. That energy was destined to erupt the moment the burning power within Wang Lin faded. Whether Wang Lin could survive that explosion was uncertain. Most likely his body and origin soul would collapse under the pressure. Yet now the blood ancestor was gravely wounded. In order to escape and to kill Wang Lin, he had sacrificed half of his blood body to invade Wang Lin's body. His intention had been to kill, but unintentionally, he had handed Wang Lin an opportunity so extraordinary that it was second only to glimpsing the path toward the third step. Wang Lin's body eventually crashed onto a small fragment floating alone in the void. Not all fragments of the Thunder Celestial realm were connected. Some tiny fragments drifted silently through the endless darkness. Wang Lin's body smashed deep into the earth before finally coming to a stop. He remained unconscious, but within him a transformation had already begun. The immense origin energy contained in the blood droplets flooded through his body. Even his origin soul underwent a shocking change. Bathed in such rich origin energy, it began absorbing it rapidly. His cultivation surged forward at astonishing speed, rushing toward the illusory yin stage. This tiny fragment should not have had clouds above it. Yet now clouds slowly began to gather in the sky. They were identical to the clouds that had once appeared in the demon spirit land, when Wang Lin first dared to defy the heavens. As for the blood ancestor, his origin soul had finally awakened after the blood spheres fused. But his body had not yet fully reformed, leaving him a dark crimson mass of blood. Never since the beginning of his cultivation had he felt such weakness. The frailty chilled him to the core, and his hatred toward Wang Lin had reached an unprecedented peak. Never in his life had he hated someone so deeply. Wang Lin was the first. The collapse of the storage space forced him to use the origin blood fusion spell. To make matters worse, he had the misfortune of encountering that mysterious old man, who had taken half of his origin soul along with half of the origin energy he had painstakingly cultivated over countless years. His cultivation level plummeted as a result. Under normal circumstances, such a loss would already have been devastating. But the old man's final attack made matters far worse. That strike forced him back into a state of deep slumber, leaving him with no choice but to wait for the scattered drops of blood to gather once more. Worse still, the attack carried an immense force that acted like an inescapable prison. Just as the fusion of his blood reached its most critical moment, just as he was on the verge of awakening again, Wang Lin appeared. The blood ancestor had already suffered setback after setback. In the end, he had no choice but to flee. At this moment, he was incomparably weak, and his origin soul burned with monstrous rage. Wang Lin, the heavens themselves, cannot allow the two of us to coexist. The blood ancestor let out a crazed roar and charged into the void. His mind had already collapsed under the weight of endless misfortune. Anyone who had endured such a series of calamities would have lost their sanity as well. Moreover, the restriction left behind by that mysterious old man gnawed relentlessly at his mind, driving him further into madness. Without hesitation, he turned and chased toward the direction where Wang Lin had vanished. "I would rather abandon my recovery and kill you first." The fragment of stone Wang Lin rested upon drifted slowly through the silent void. His eyes were tightly shut as the celestial swords circled around him protectively. Beside him floated Shu Liguo, his face full of bitterness. "I should have left earlier, but I can't just abandon this fiend here." He sighed heavily and muttered to himself, "Alas, I Shu Liguo am a man of loyalty. How could I possibly do something as disgraceful as abandoning my master?" He scratched his head and chuckled slyly. "Besides, since I didn't run this time, the fiend will surely value me more in the future. Maybe he'll reward me with even greater benefits." "Heh. Your grandfather Shu really is clever." Shu Liguo's eyes darted about as he made up his mind. "Anyway, this fiend is only an avatar. At the thought of Wang Lin's original body, Xu Liguo suddenly shivered. If there was one being in this world he feared from the depths of his soul, it was Wang Lin's true body. Within the Alliance star system lay an abandoned planet, crackling endlessly with thunder. Deep beneath its surface existed a naturally formed cavern, one completely filled with violent lightning. At the center of the cave sat a figure in meditation. His crimson hair flowed like fresh blood, and a chilling aura radiated from his body. Between his brows, 4 stars slowly revolved. As he cultivated strands of spiritual energy gathered from all directions, flowing endlessly into his body. Suddenly his eyes snapped open. Within his calm gaze flickered a terrifying trace of killing intent. Blood ancestor. You forced my avatar into a coma. How could I possibly let this matter end like this? This figure was Wang Lin's original body. He clenched his fists and slowly rose to his feet. After pondering silently for a long moment, he suddenly rushed upward. A thunderous series of explosions echoed as layer after layer of earth above him shattered. With a deafening boom, Wang Lin's original body burst out from the eastern side of the planet's surface. Dust and debris exploded outward in every direction. He did not stop. The moment he emerged, he charged straight into the vastness of space. Once in the void, he spread his arms wide. Crisp, crackling sounds erupted from every part of his body. The sounds grew louder and more intense with each passing moment. Veins bulged across his skin, while a deep, thunderous rumble echoed from within his body. His form began to change. His legs thickened and stretched outward. His arms expanded as well. His entire body began to grow as though he were being inflated like a massive balloon. At this moment, his body expanded wildly. From within him came a deep, ancient roar, like the echo of a primordial beast awakening from the depths of time. Yet his expression remained calm. There was no pain on his face, only cold serenity and the burning anger within his eyes. His body continued to grow larger and larger. Half the time it takes for an incense stick to burn later. A giant over 1,000 feet tall stood within the starry sky. A savage aura radiated from his colossal form. His skin was covered with rough yet intricate ancient runes, each glowing faintly with a power that carried unimaginable majesty. A low roar emerged from his mouth. The roar seemed to come from ancient times, filled with an aura that looked down upon all existence. Everything within the reach of that roar seemed to awaken ancient memories and instinctively retreat. Even the fierce beasts on nearby planets collapsed to the ground the moment they heard it trembling uncontrollably. It was a fear that came from the depths of their souls. The ancient gods were the sovereigns of space. In the distant age when ancient gods roamed the cosmos, all living beings were forced to bow before them. And now, after countless years since the disappearance of the ancient gods, this roar seemed to proclaim their return. Only at this moment did Wang Lin truly possess the majesty of an ancient god. He was an ancient god. From the moment an ancient god reached 4 stars, and beyond their body would grow at an astonishing rate. Until now, Wang Lin had suppressed this transformation. But at this moment he released that suppression. For the first time, his true ancient god body appeared. Only by revealing this body could he truly be called an ancient god and wield the power of one. Blood ancestor, you forced my avatar into a coma. Then I will destroy your blood planet. His eyes were filled with ruthless killing intent. When he took a step forward, it was as if the entire star system trembled. He strode through space as though walking upon solid ground, moving rapidly into the distance. As he walked, he raised his massive right hand and pointed toward the space between his brows. A vast amount of spiritual energy gathered at his fingertip, forming an ancient imprint filled with primordial power. The imprint descended upon his forehead, causing the 4 stars to vanish. This imprint was not a technique that cultivators could use. It was a divine ability belonging only to the ancient gods, one capable of concealing their identity. Unless an extremely powerful cultivator appeared, no one would be able to see through the disguise. Since the Alliance star system already has the giant demon clan, Wang Lin thought coldly. No one will suspect that my 1,000-foot body belongs to an ancient god. Compared to a fully matured ancient god, his current body was still insignificant, far too small to attract suspicion. He continued forward without expression. He had already seen the star map given to him by the All-Seer long ago, so he naturally knew the location of the blood planet. As he traveled through space, his eyes narrowed slightly. Scattered throughout the void were countless broken stones of varying sizes, common debris drifting through the cosmos. Without slowing down, he reached out and grabbed a stone nearly 100 feet wide. With a deep roar, he drew it toward himself, using a surge of spiritual energy, and continued forward. After he passed, two cultivators slowly emerged from behind a slightly smaller stone. Both were trembling violently as they stared at the distant figure of Wang Lin's massive body disappearing into the void. What was that? The two looked at each other, their scalps tingling with terror. Without another word, they fled as fast as they could. Along the way, whenever Wang Lin encountered these drifting stones, he would select those roughly 100 feet wide. He would grab them and drag them along using spiritual energy. These were his weapons. According to the inherited memories of ancient gods, those in the early stages possessed very few spells. Instead, they preferred using such massive objects as weapons. They were simple, effective, and the more he had, the better. Thus, Wang Lin advanced toward the blood planet, dragging behind him a vast trail of floating stones that resembled a river of meteors. The closer he drew, the heavier the killing intent surrounding him became. Kill. The blood planet was a world bathed in a constant crimson glow. It lay far beyond the sphere of influence of planet Tianyun, isolated in the distant reaches of space. In truth, powerful cultivators who possessed the ability to claim an entire cultivation planet as their personal cave abode would never choose to live too close to one another. Even those who were close friends kept their distance. After all, no cultivator could ever fully lower their guard. These ancient monsters who had cultivated for countless years understood this principle better than anyone. Likewise, a cultivator powerful enough to claim a whole planet for themselves had no need for the protection of planet Tianyun. It was therefore only natural that they would choose a remote and secluded location for their cave dwelling. The most important requirement when choosing such a place was that it lay outside the divine sense range of other powerful cultivators. Otherwise, every single movement, every breath would be perceived. The blood ancestor was a man burdened with many secrets. Naturally, he had been even more cautious when selecting the location of his cave. On the star map given to Wang Lin by the All-Seer, the blood planet lay in an extremely remote region, with no nearby planets inhabited by powerful cultivators. This was also one of the reasons why Wang Lin's original body dared to attack it. Wang Lin's original body advanced through the vast cosmos, his expression cold and indifferent. Behind him trailed a long river of stones. Compared to the immeasurable vastness of space, his enormous form still appeared small and insignificant. Yet he did not slow down. With chilling, killing intent, he continued forward relentlessly toward the blood planet, dragging behind him a roaring river of stone. Several months passed in the blink of an eye. Along the way, whenever other cultivators encountered him, they were all startled beyond belief. None of them dared to act rashly. They knew nothing about ancient gods. Even among the 4 great star systems, only a handful of individuals were aware of their existence, and even that knowledge came merely from obscure ancient records. Moreover, the ancient gods recorded in those texts were almost always fully grown beings with 6 stars or more. Their bodies were so massive they could rival entire cultivation planets, one of the defining traits of the ancient god race. By comparison, the aura of a 4-star ancient god was not particularly obvious. Unless a cultivator had personally witnessed an ancient god before, it would be impossible to associate Wang Lin with the race that had vanished countless ages ago. This was precisely why Wang Lin dared to reveal the true form of his original body. But all of these reasons were merely secondary considerations. The true reason lay within Wang Lin's fierce and unyielding nature. His avatar had been gravely injured and forced into a coma. Even the normally unbreakable connection between his original body and his avatar had grown dangerously weak, as though it might snap at any moment. If that connection vanished, it meant the avatar had died. Boundless killing intent surged through Wang Lin's heart. The avatar had been painstakingly cultivated over many years. To Wang Lin, there was no distinction between primary and secondary body. The original body was him. The avatar was also him. If the avatar died, it meant he himself had been killed once. If his original body chose to hide and wait until his cultivation grew stronger before seeking revenge, then he would no longer be Wang Lin. There were times when a man had to act even when the consequences were unfavorable. The chances of being discovered as an ancient god are extremely small. Wang Lin's eyes turned even colder. But even if I am discovered, so what? He accelerated even further. Although Wang Lin had yet to fully master many of the divine abilities inherited from the memories of the ancient gods, there were several life-saving techniques he could now use after approaching the level of a 4-star ancient god. Among them, the most effective was a spell used by ancient gods to protect their offspring: spirit transformation. By entering a planet not to absorb its spiritual energy, but to envelop oneself within that energy and fall into a dormant state. Unless another ancient god appeared, no being would be capable of detecting it. This was a spell belonging to the ancient gods, far beyond the techniques used by ordinary cultivators. The only one I need to worry about is Ta Sen. Wang Lin's gaze grew colder. But with his 8-star ancient god body, the moment he appears, those powerful cultivators will immediately recognize him. And if he causes chaos in the Alliance star system, what does that have to do with me? I, Wang Lin, am not a saint. The blood planet was populated by numerous blood slaves. These individuals were controlled by the blood ancestor through soul brands. As long as the blood ancestor lived, they lived. If the blood ancestor died, they would perish as well. Most of them had been forcibly kidnapped from nearby planets. Their freedom had been stripped away, forcing them to serve the blood ancestor. Among them were also talented youths selected and raised through the consumption of blood pills. These individuals were groomed into blood guardians, tasked with protecting the blood planet. The blood ancestor was an extremely cold and ruthless man. Only toward his daughter would he occasionally show a rare hint of kindness. Apart from the blood ancestor and his daughter, all other living beings on the planet were nothing more than slaves. Their lives and deaths were controlled by a mere thought. Zixin sat upon an altar outside the blood pavilion, anxiety clearly written across her face. From time to time she would glance nervously toward the blood pavilion behind her. That place was a forbidden zone. Even she was not allowed to enter. At this moment, several streaks of crimson light shot through the sky from afar. 4 elders appeared before her. Each of them radiated origin energy, clearly powerful cultivators who had stepped into the second step. One of the elders lowered his head and spoke respectfully. "Mistress, another group of blood slaves has died." Zixin bit her lower lip, her brows furrowed in deep thought. Over the past few months, blood slaves and blood guardians had begun dying inexplicably. Their bodies would suddenly explode without warning. By now, more than 70% of them had already perished. This situation filled Zixin with growing dread. The only explanation was that something had happened to the blood ancestor. One of the elders slowly raised his head and stared at her. "Mistress, where exactly did Lord Blood Ancestor go?" Zixin's expression instantly turned cold. "Impudent. Is that something you have the right to ask?" But inwardly her anxiety deepened. In the past, none of them would have dared to speak such words. Yet now, even Zixin herself wondered whether the blood ancestor might already be dying. The old man sneered and turned around. His mood was terrible, but beneath it was also a trace of relief. The blood ancestor's brand still existed within his body, but at this moment it no longer mattered. 6,000 years ago, the blood ancestor forcibly branded me. Since then, I have not been allowed to leave the blood planet without his orders. Now it's clear that he has met with misfortune. This old man, if I must die, I would rather die in my homeland than in this cursed place. His eyes were filled with sorrow as he flew directly toward the sky. The remaining three elders watched silently as their companion disappeared into the heavens. After a moment of contemplation, they exchanged glances. Without another word, they also flew upward. Zaisin stood up, fury flashing in her eyes. "You dare! Aren't you afraid the blood ancestor will return?" Before she could finish speaking, one of the elders lowered his head and glared at her coldly. "Noisy, you are nothing more than one of the blood ancestor's playthings. Do you really believe you are the mistress of this planet? The only reason we showed you respect was because of the blood ancestor. Without him, what are you worth? I have been on the blood planet for nearly 10,000 years. I have seen at least a dozen women just like you." After leaving those words behind, he vanished into the sky. Zaisin's body trembled violently. She fell into deep thought. When the four red-robed elders left, the remaining blood slaves who had not yet died all looked toward the sky. Then someone flew up. Soon after, almost all of them followed. Freedom had finally appeared before them. Zaisin watched everything unfold. Her gaze slowly turned resolute. She appeared before the blood pavilion and carefully recalled the seals the blood ancestor used whenever he opened it. After a brief hesitation, she clenched her teeth. But at that very moment, the sky suddenly darkened. A terrifying pressure instantly descended upon the entire blood planet. Zaisin was startled and instinctively looked up. What she saw caused her face to turn completely pale. What is that? In space, the four red-robed elders had just separated when they suddenly stopped. They all looked toward the distance. A river of stone was roaring through space toward the blood planet. Standing above the river of stone was a giant more than 1,000 feet tall. His eyes were cold, filled with killing intent. The four elders' pupils shrank. They exchanged quick glances. Without hesitation, they scattered in 4 different directions. None of them even attempted to defend the blood planet. At almost the same moment, the same thought appeared in all their minds. "Blood ancestor, even you can fall one day." Behind them, countless blood slaves also fled. Some did not go far. Instead, they remained nearby watching. They wanted to personally witness the destruction of the blood planet. Wang Lin immediately understood what was happening, but he did not care. Dragging his river of stone behind him, he charged straight toward the blood planet. When he drew near, he rose above the river of stones. Each hand grabbed a stone nearly 100 feet wide. With a violent motion, he hurled them toward the blood planet. The stones roared through space like meteors. Just before striking the planet, a crimson light barrier appeared. The stones shattered instantly upon impact. Wang Lin's gaze turned even colder. Without pause, he continued throwing stone after stone. Finally, he spread his arms wide and used spiritual energy to drag the entire river of stone forward. Countless stones rained down. Without the blood ancestor personally controlling it, the blood-colored barrier was limited. After half an incense stick of time, the barrier collapsed. The stones crashed onto the blood planet. Every impact caused the entire planet to tremble violently. Circular shockwaves spread across the land. Zaisin's face turned pale. The ground shook beneath her feet. Massive stones fell from the sky like divine punishment. Each one shook the world. She could not imagine what kind of power could create such destruction. Too terrifying. Fear surged through her like a tidal wave. She looked toward the blood pavilion and quickly formed hand seals imitating the blood ancestor's technique. Over the years, she had secretly memorized the seals whenever the blood ancestor opened the pavilion. She had practiced them countless times in secret. Now, she finally used them. Her hands moved faster and faster. Suddenly, a red flash erupted from the blood pavilion. A vague crimson passage appeared. Joy filled her eyes. But at that moment, the sky darkened again. A colossal shadow descended. Zishin looked up and froze. A 1,000-foot giant was descending from the heavens. His icy gaze fell directly upon her. Terror filled her heart. She immediately rushed toward the crimson passage. But the moment she stepped inside, a miserable scream burst from her mouth. The red light devoured her body. Her flesh rapidly decayed. Green smoke rose into the air. Even her origin soul collapsed. From Wang Lin's perspective, the woman dissolved into green smoke and was absorbed into the blood-colored passage. Wang Lin looked coldly at the blood pavilion. He reached down and grabbed the pavilion along with the 100 feet of earth surrounding it. Meanwhile, the rain of stones continued. The blood planet had become a shattered ruin. Holding the blood pavilion in one hand, Wang Lin clenched his other hand into a fist and smashed it into the ground. Thunderous explosions echoed. The planet became even more unstable. Ripples spread across its surface as dust filled the sky. Moments later, Wang Lin turned and flew away from the blood planet, disappearing into the distant cosmos. None of the blood slaves or guardians attempted to stop him. On the contrary, many of them even clasped their hands respectfully toward the direction he left. Not long after Wang Lin departed, confusion appeared in their eyes. It was as though invisible shackles had suddenly been broken. One by one they dispersed, returning to the homes they had not seen in countless years.